Ah, continental Europe, makers of fine wine, fine cheese, fine sausage, and video editors who are only okay at their job and really need to start bucking their ideas up. Am I right, Terry? Perhaps Europe's greatest export, however, has been Eurogames. If you want to know exactly what a Eurogame is and why they're important, check out Laurie's video on the subject. It's awfully good, despite being edited by a continental European. They're games with less of an emphasis on luck and fighting each other and more of an emphasis on gradually building a solo plan or an engine or a strategy to achieve victory. A lot of them are big thinky boys, but not all Eurogames are heavy enough to murder a horse or so complex you need a PhD in tiny wooden pieces. There are some beautiful lightweight Euros out there, and lucky you, we found 10 of them. This is a collection starter, and here are the 10 best Eurogames for beginners. Number 10, Kingdomino. Can't be easy being a king. Everyone's trying to kill you. You gotta fight Godzilla, and that's a hassle. And also you have to make sure your kingdom's a perfect square of matching terrain. Kingdomino is a super light family Euro. Starting with your castle, you're gonna build a kingdom one tile at a time. These tiles are a bunch of different types: field, water, wasteland, yellow, everything a good kingdom needs to thrive. Anything can connect to the castle piece, but other than that, you can only connect ends where the tiles match. You know, like dominoes. Some of the tiles have crowns on, and at the end of the game, you look at blocks of the same type of land, count up the number of squares in that block, multiply it by the number of crowns in that block, most points wins with bonuses for making a perfect square, having a castle in the middle, stuff like that. It takes about 15 minutes, but it's super addictive and actually teaches a nice common Euro mechanic, varying turn order. See, every turn you stack the available tiles like this, generally the least valuable on the top, most valuable on the bottom, and the player who picked the least valuable tile gets to pick first from all the available tiles next go. So you have to decide whether it's worth taking a bad tile now in order to get first dibs on an amazing tile in the future. Fun, cheap, and can be explained to Grandad. Number 9, Takenoko. It's got a little panda in it. Look, it's got a little panda in it. I resent having to say more than that about this game, but I will. Takenoko is a very beautiful little game about growing bamboo in a garden, planting tiles, making sure those tiles connect to the water supply so the bamboo can grow, or moving the little panda around the garden to eat your opponent's bamboo. You're a naughty little panda. All players will be working on secret objectives. Maybe the panda has to eat certain amounts of bamboo, or there have to be certain numbers of certain bamboo of a certain height, or tiles have to be arranged in a certain way. It pushes the limits of being a Euro slightly because it's got a die that you roll every turn, but that's just to let you know what special bonus you get, so it's fine. It's fine. It's a game that manages to be light, charming, whilst also being tense and mean. Everyone racing to complete secret objectives first, and that panda is just absolutely wonderful until Grandad makes him eat a bit of pink bamboo that you desperately need, and suddenly you get very happy about Panda's low birth rate, you greedy little bastard. Number 8, Carcassonne. Easy to play, impossible to spell on your first Google. Carcassonne is a lovely tile-laying game where you and a bunch of friends build a French countryside. It's serene and calm and also a little bit of a gambling game. Grandad loves gambling. You don't need an inheritance. It's fine. See, every turn you'll be placing a tile that connects in some way to the board. Roads connected to existing roads, cities connected to bits of city, but when the tile is down, you can then choose to place your little meeple. This is a meeple. Look at it. Look at the meeple. You can place it somewhere on that tile. If you place it on a road, you'll get points for how long that road is when it's finished. If it's in a city, you'll get points when that city is finished. Maybe they're on a monastery. That will pay off a whopping 9 points if it's complete, but here's the catch. If you put a meeple down, that meeple stays on the map until the thing it's standing on is completed. Sure, you'll want the thing you're building to be big when it's finished so you get loads of points, but you can run out of meeples real fast. And worse, if someone else can connect one of their roads or cities to yours and their number of meeples on that thing outnumbers yours, they rob you of literally all the points you were building. Damn, France, you mean. It won Game of the Year when it first came out, and despite what some consider to be a tepid setting, it's become something of an essential classic in the hobby. Number 7, Splendor. Loads of Eurogames can be explained with one simple song. Buy a thing, to make a thing, to make a thing, to buy more things. It's a toe tapper. Splendor is one of the best regarded games of this type, chiefly because it's so simple and tightly focused. You've got a marketplace full of stuff to buy, a bank of really satisfying to hold chips, and you can do one of 3 things on your turn. Collect some chips, spend chips to buy a card, or reserve a card, which basically means can't afford this right now, but I'm going to take it away so none of you f***ers can buy it first. Oh, Grandad, you've never been kind since the war. The cards you buy can not only net you some points, but they also count as a chip for future purchases that you don't have to spend. So as you build your set up and up, suddenly you're throwing around huge money, attracting the attention of local magistrates. He's the talk of the town. So wealthy, yes, but does he know how to love? Splendor's a great little exercise in building a long game plan step by step, which is the bedrock of Euro gaming. Number 6, Stone Age. Let's talk about worker placement. The sexy language of Euro gaming. Worker placement is a pretty common thing in Euro games, and Stone Age is seen as one of the mechanisms defining games. It can be summed up like this. There's a map with locations on it. If you put a worker on a location, a thing will happen. Maybe you'll get some resources, maybe you get some tools, maybe 2 of your workers will and make a new worker. Yes, there's a sex hut in Stone Age. Grandad gets it.
I haven't had sex in 15 years, Jason, and I want to
If your worker is occupying a space, no one else can go there because social distancing, so every turn you're racing to see who can plop lads on a map first in order to enact a plan, forcing you to come up with backup plans if someone gets there first. Stone Age is a perfect example of worker placement. There are so many different things to do, and all of them are helpful. And you need to do pretty much everything to pull ahead. You need more workers to roll more dice, another Euro with dice, breaking all the rules this list. Rolling more dice increases your chance of getting more resources to build more buildings, but the more workers you have, the more food you'll need to feed them, and also it takes time in the sex hut to get these workers. Lots of plates to spin, definitely on the crunchy end of the brain puzzle. Number 5, Constantinople. Istanbul. Another worker placement game right now, but with an extra little spatial puzzle twist thrown in. Istanbul, not Constantinople, sees you navigating a grid of locations. All the locations let you do stuff. Get goods, trade goods for cash, trade cash to buy room for more goods, spend goods to get rubies, gambling with dice rolls and guessing, free one of your relatives from prison so they can run amok in the town. Sure, why not? Lots of different ways to slowly get more to get more. Why'd they make it? I can't say. Eurogamers just like it better that way. The fun gimmick of Istanbul, not Constantinople, is that as you move around the grid, you, the master, have to have one of your assistants with you on location to do that action. I don't know, showing them the ropes, I guess. Internships are like that. When you leave a location having done a thing, you leave one of your apprentices behind, meaning you'll eventually have to go back to that location in order to get them. This is such a smart little trick because now you're not only factoring in the locations in your plan, but you have to work out little routes and reverse routes to try and do everything with as little backtracking as possible. We're getting quite rulesy now, lots of bits here, lots of tokens, so let's calm it down a bit before Grandad explodes. Number 4, Point Salad. Super simple little card game. Now, if you like Sushi Go but have played it to death, Point Salad is right up your alley. It's a little more luck-based than most Euros, but that luck gives it more exhilaration than annoyance, and also the game takes like 20 minutes to stop complaining and re-rack. There are 6 types of veggies you can collect sets of. On the backs of all these cards are different ways to score. Maybe 2 points for every pepper, 7 points for an even number of cabbages. Maybe you can get 8 points for having at least 1 carrot, 1 onion, and 1 cabbage. There's over 100 different ways to score, and on your turn, you'll either take 2 veggies or 1 scoring card from the market. That's it, super quick turns as scoring possibilities and potential combos appear and disappear while Grandad stuffs himself with enough lettuce to sink a cruise liner. At the end of the game, you'll look at all the personal scoring cards that you've collected and add up all the points you've managed to get, and then you immediately go again because, quote, you've got the hang of it now. Number 3, Seven Wonders. This is a grand, stately home of board game design, old, respected, a bit empty and isolating for my personal tastes, but undeniably well designed. Think of Seven Wonders as a step above games like Sushi Go. In a round, you start with 7 cards, take 1 to play it, then pass the rest to your neighbour while receiving the remaining 6 from your neighbour on the other side. Keep doing this until you've played 6 cards, then you do that again twice more over the next 2 rounds. In Sushi Go, the scoring system's super tight, which lets you pass enough information to more easily understand which cards your neighbours need and how best to screw them over. In Seven Wonders, it's a bit more complicated. You need to set up systems of resources to pay for bigger, better cards. You need to make sure your army is stronger than your neighbours whilst also building sets that get more complicated as each age occurs. So it's a lot harder to keep track of what your opponents are building. Maybe your Grandad loves this because other players not constantly being all up in his shit. It gives him the room to breathe and carefully and calmly build a collection of cards. For some, this drastically reduced player interaction feels a little hollow, like a bunch of people sat around a table working quietly on individual jigsaw puzzles. By now, you probably have an idea if sedate experiences like that are your bag, but if you're in doubt, give Seven Wonders a go. It rewards planning and patience in ways that are really satisfying once you crack it. Number 2, Lords of Vegas. On the other end of the interactivity spectrum, this is my kind of thing. Lords of Vegas is a game all about building casinos of various colours around the board. When you own a casino tile, you place one of your dice inside. Every player's turn, one casino colour will pay out. If it's yours, you get some money. Use the money to buy bigger, better casinos. You can gamble. Grandad, your savings come back. You can re-roll the dice in your casinos, try and get bigger payouts. You can merge your casinos with someone else's of the same colour and perform a hostile takeover if you have the highest value dice in that building, but they can try and steal their casino back by paying to re-roll their dice. Don't get me wrong, it's really pushing it when it comes to the definition of a Euro game. It's hugely thematic, got loads of victory determining dice rolls, and it's mean, but it's also a city building game, collecting sets to drastically mitigate luck where a player's plan supersedes the fortune of flipping tiles and rolling bones, so for me it counts, at the very least, as a bridge for gamers more used to Monopoly to get into more Euro-style games. Speaking of, it also kills Monopoly. If you actually like that game, please replace it with Lords of Vegas, because whether buying property, screwing over opponents, the giddy rush when everything you built pays off in one fell turn, it does everything Monopoly does, but so much better. And number one, Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride tops a lot of lists, not just for family Euro games, but games to introduce people to board gaming in general. Set collection, hand management, road building, end of game bonuses. There are loads of fundamental Euro game mechanics here in a game that's easy enough for even the granddaddiest of granddads. Map of the US. On your turn, you either take 2 train cards from the market or from the deck, play a set of coloured train cards to lay down your trains on the board, or take a new secret route card which will gain you or cost you points at the end of the game depending on if you complete that route. There, that's the entire game, but it will rewire you to think like a Euro gamer. Do you play the long game, building bigger, harder routes that will make it easier for others to screw you over by taking a section of track that you really need? Or do you build quick and often, making lots of smaller routes, but they'll net you fewer points? There's no player elimination, it's super difficult to tell who's winning till the very end, and it's sold millions for a reason. It's the best possible entry point to this style of gaming. Better than Catan, in fact. You heard me. It's engaging, strategic, but with plenty of wiggle room for small failures, and it can be bloody raucous and mean when that board gets crowded. For new gamers, it is absolutely worth your time. And that's our list. What are your favourite Euro games for beginners? Let us know in the comments. Please don't forget to subscribe to No Rolls Barred for more great games about the greatest hobby in the world. And never forget to get on board.